But this listener has a broader question about candy. Wondering, do these sort of standard precautions or the standards for taking care with candy, parents should inspect it, make sure the wrappers aren't broken. Do those apply now, or should there be any extra precautions such as disinfection?
I don't recommend any additional precautions. The risk of transmission via grocery items or candy wrappers is very, very low. Most people will put the candy directly into a bucket, or even if they're just handing them out, they're touching them very briefly. And most pathogens are not going to survive long enough at a concentration that's going to result in infection on these inanimate objects.
You had mentioned before that your concern is people sort of crowding, the trick-or-treaters crowding in small doorways, or even these sort of indoor areas that people might be in. So this listener wants to know if you advise perhaps for the people who are giving out candy, who are welcoming the trick-or-treaters, setting up outside and even staying clear of doorways, if possible, of course, if they have lawns.
Yeah, we certainly saw that earlier in the pandemic. For example, in fall of 2020, when we were just getting used to the lockdowns and all the precautions, and many people didn't trick or treat at all, but some people did set up tables, for example, at the end of driveways or on their lawns. So it just depends on the physical characteristics of the neighborhood. But that's certainly going to be safer than having somebody come directly to the doorway, although realistically it may not be as fun for the child.
Fair enough. We actually have a non-Halloween related question. This is from a listener in their late 70s wanting to find a safe time of day for a visit with family, and are wondering specifically about potential COVID exposure. If there is sort of a standard number of hours that it would be safe to visit with family if they possibly have been exposed to COVID.
Yeah, so the CDC counts as a significant exposure as being within 6 feet of somebody unmasked for 15 minutes or longer. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get transmission if you're with somebody for 5 minutes, or if you're 7 feet away rather than 6 feet away, but that's what they've used as the standard risk. The EU uses a shorter distance, 4.5 feet. So it just depends. The risk is not absolute at any distance. But if you're outdoors and you're greater than 6 feet away from somebody, I would say that the risk is very low. And so visiting in terms of time of day, choose a time of day that it's going to be comfortable being outside, although with rain on the way, we have to take that into account also.
All right, this listener wants to know about sort of traditions in general and things like COVID-19. We for so many decades had sort of low risk management with illnesses. People would go to work with colds, the flu, whether this should or should not be thought of that way. This has been thought of as a fairly innocuous illness. This listener wants to know if you think traditions such as Halloween will invariably be shifted due to COVID, or as we learn more about more respiratory or other kinds of viruses.
I think some of the realizations that we've had about risk of infection have been really beneficial. We shouldn't have people going to work when they're sick. Having the option for remote work is excellent. Having more awareness that people have of possible transmission in the workplace or school, I think, is a real advance. Some traditions, I think, are not going to survive. For example, when I was a child, seems like a million years ago, but remember bobbing for apples? I mean, does anybody still do that? That is so unsanitary. That's a tradition that should go by the wayside.
I was just thinking about bobbing for apples the other day. Actually, I did it in 4th grade, and it seems incredibly disgusting right now.
Right.
All right, another unrelated to Halloween COVID question. This person wants to know if we can qualify how much less likely somebody is to get long COVID if they are vaccinated and boosted.
The studies suggest that being vaccinated and boosted results in at least a 50% decreased risk of long COVID, and that likely relates to not only decreased risk of infection, but also even breakthrough infections that occur. There's decreased risk of getting long COVID for those who are vaccinated versus unvaccinated. And so that's why I would continue to encourage people to be fully up to date with all boosters that are indicated. Because even if they get better, even if they don't have severe COVID, even if they don't end up hospitalized with COVID, there is that risk of long COVID that we'd like to avoid.
Got it. Okay. This person wants to know about how long particles carrying COVID might linger in the air, specifically with the holidays coming up and parties, whether tonight or further on for Thanksgiving or Christmas, Hanukkah. Something to that effect. I was trying to think of Kwanzaa. If somebody with COVID, or they don't know it at the time, and they're unmasked in a small room in your home, say a bathroom, then they test positive later, is the air in that room unsafe? Should you avoid that room if possible?
Well, I can't guarantee that there's no risk, but the risk is incredibly small. The vast majority of transmission takes place via large droplets, and these large droplets fall to the ground via gravity and are no longer in the air. The amount that's aerosolized in most situations is very, very small, unless you're in a hospital having a medical procedure that generates aerosols. And the aerosols do stay in the air a little bit longer, but the concentration is very low. So when we have people over and some people come in the house, for example, to clean the house, I don't worry about the air in the house after they leave. We'd like them to be masked while they're in the house around other people. But other than that, I don't worry about room air being contaminated.
All right. Well, that was our last question. It's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much, Dr. Dean Blumberg, UC Davis Health and Infectious Disease Specialist. You can find this entire interview on our website. We put all of our Ask an Expert interviews at kcbsradio.com/askanexpert, or simply look under the More button on our homepage. KCBS News Time 9:35. We've got another traffic update coming up for you in just 2.5 minutes.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/news, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/news. That's getrefunds.com/news.
At Prime Mail Medical, they understand how frustrating it can be to experience difficulties in your intimate life. Their mission is to provide you the medical care you need for improved performance.
At Prime Mail Medical, we have virtually every medication known to man to help men. We specialize in treatments for ED and low T, and we have a 99% success rate. Most impotence problems can be treated in just one visit.
That's Dr. Robert Rowley from Prime Mail Medical.
We offer a variety of treatments, including high-dose sublingual lozenges, ultrasound-based shockwave therapy, and injectable therapies. We can also treat testosterone issues when needed.
Prime Mail Medical in the East Bay and San Francisco. Get your customized evaluation for just $99, which covers a full year of free visits, including a PSA test, testosterone test, and ultrasound. Call now, 415-761-4037, or go to primemailmedical.com. That's 415-761-4037.
Trick or treat! Pretty sweet, huh? This Halloween, Smart & Final has red or green seedless grapes for just $1.49 per pound. Happy Halloween, kids!
That lady was scary.
Smart & Final, one trip and that's it.
I use my new Sleep World mattress for everything. Desk, dining table, sofa. I'd call that a good investment.
Rotate or replace your mattress and save up to $600 on select mattresses at Mancini Sleep World. Visit sleepworld.com.
KCBS News Time 9:38 traffic and weather sponsored this time around by Chilton Auto Body. With the traffic portion, here is Kim Wonderly.
Yeah, last time we talked, we were talking about slow traffic into Berkeley, which is still there, but CHP confirms this crash cleared westbound 80 at University, so no longer any lanes blocked, but it's still a bit slow coming down from Albany Hill. The Chilton Auto Body collision cam picks up the slow traffic as you approach Buchanan, down past Gilman, then it starts to loosen up by University Avenue where the crash had been sitting. Looks fine at the Bay Bridge, no wait at the toll plaza, smooth ride into San Francisco. Marin County traffic has thinned out nicely. And Silicon Valley looks great. I'm not seeing any slow traffic on North 101. North 280 looks great, maybe a little bit slow right at the 17-880 split, but otherwise very smooth trip to the Cupertino side. And you can track all the problems too on Twitter or report traffic to us that way as well. We're at KCBS AM FM Traffic. Your next update, 9:48 on the traffic leader, KCBS.